Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li waziran min ahli Haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri washriku fi amri kay nusabbihaka kaseera wa nazkuraka kaseera innaka kunta bina basira. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. All praise be to the Lord of the universe. So we're studying today, Assalamu alaikum, from the book The Rays, the 15th Ray, page 577 of the book, going through some powerful phrases, which are conclusions. We should come to those conclusions in our lives by observing, by living in this world. For example, this 10th phrase, which says, and he is powerful over all things. So once I realize by going through the evidence and looking at the universe, I can claim that, yes, that is correct. And he is powerful over all things. Who? The Lord, the one who gives existence to everything. There must be an absolute owner who must know each and everything in existence. Each and every particle must be under his control. So definitely I can conclude that he is powerful over all things. So we will continue with this section. An extremely concise indication of the proof contained in this phrase is as follows. As soon as every conscious creature who comes into this guest house of the world opens his eyes, he sees that a power holds in its grasp the whole universe. And within that power are a pre-eternal, all-embracing knowledge which never confuses anything, and a most precise wisdom and favor which never act purposelessly or without balance. So precise wisdom and favor which never act purposelessly or without balance. Just as spinning a single particle from the army of particles, like a Mevlevi dervish in ecstasy. So a single particle from the army of particles, this movement, it employs it in numerous duties. So at the same time, and according to the same law, it causes the globe of the earth to travel a 24,000-year distance in a year, again like an ecstatic Mevlevi. At the same time, and according to the same law, through which it sends to men and the animals the produce of the seasons. So according to the same law of basically all-embracing knowledge, never confuses anything, precise wisdom and favor, which are with a purpose and in balance and harmony. So everything is employed accordingly. So at the same time, according to the same law through which it sends to men and the animals the produce of the seasons, it makes the sun into a shuttle or spinning wheel, and spinning it ecstatically, so it exerts an attraction. It employs the planets, the army of the solar system, in various duties in perfect order and balance. At the same time, and according to the same law of wisdom, that same power writes one within the other, without error or confusion. So at the same time, and according to the same law of wisdom, that same power writes one within the other without error or confusion. Hundreds of thousands of species which resemble books on the page of the face of the earth and displays thousands of samples of the supreme resurrection of the dead. That same power at the same time transforms the page of the atmosphere into a slate for writing and erasing. So at the same time transforms the page of the atmosphere into a slate for writing and erasing, employing all its particles, which are like the nibs of pens or the points of the book, in the tasks specified for them by will and command. It endows all of them with such ability that each receives all words and speech as though it knows them. It endows all of them with such ability that each receives all words and speech as though it knows them, and broadcasts them without confusion. It employs each as a minuscule ear and tiny tongue, proving that the element of air is a throne of divine will and command. So in this paragraph, all the evidence we see out there in the universe, the solar system, the planets, the stars, galaxies, the way the atmosphere is run, the things that are continuously coming into existence, leaving this world. So a lot of activity is happening, and when we study, we see, yes, there are things, nothing is really static in this world, which is the foundation of the physics and quantum, which each particle, when they study, never stays at the same place. And then all this, we can wonder how is this happening? And they're so precise and perfectly arranged that you wouldn't think that this is a confused or crazy or accidental happening that is going on. It shows a conscious, someone who knows, someone who is capable, has the power, the will to do those things. Would you like to say something?
In this, as you were reading, I follow the text closely, and as far as I can, I could put a mark on 4 points attracted my attention.
Interesting.
Yeah, the first one, when we read that precise wisdom and the most precise wisdom and favor, which never act purposelessly or without balance,
right?
We have to be careful when we read this kind of language, as if he is speaking as if he believes in God, Therefore, he concludes that he never does this. No, it doesn't mean that he doesn't believe in God. That is reasoning from the previous discussion, not in English, but we had some other discussions. I understand that people need to be clarified about it. We need to be clarified about it. While we are reasoning about our belief, and at the end, if it is appropriate, if it conforms what the Quran says, I say, this Quran is really introducing the Creator as I thought. There must be a one who has these qualities. Oh, then I can easily confirm it. That is how Iman search or realization of the truthfulness of the Quran should take place. When we observe as the text says, as soon as every conscious creature who comes into this guest house,
yeah.
Here we are. I am here. And also, I am here not that I begged somebody, please accept me in your house of the universe. I found myself in it. There is no other way to think of my own reality. Who is entertaining me here? Sometimes he does, very rarely though, strange things, I must admit. But at the same time, he is being so generous, so wise, etc. When I look at who can it be, that is very human. Any conscious human being needs to go through these stages and come to the conclusion, there is something, it never acts purposelessly, without balance, perfectly, and also symmetric balance. You know, when you look at this now, I'm looking at you now. For example, if I draw a line between just in the middle of your head, your forehead and chin, I see the two parts are perfectly in balance and symmetric. And the eye, two eyes are located in those. If you really read anything about it, you will be stricken to really fainted, become faint. Why? Two eyes are so close to each other, but they make an angle. When you look at something, one of them sees this one, the other one sees this one. That is why we can know the distance. So perfectly balanced, precisely balanced. Who is doing that? That must be a conscious being. And this conscious being must do everything purposefully, and with balance, perfect order. And then when you read the Quran, only the Quran describes God with no defect. Everything in the universe has to be made by an absolute being. Nothing in the universe can come into existence without this agent. By itself, matter doesn't know how can they arrange the distance between two parts of human face, for example, and also not only these savages, this twin creation is also amazing. Everything has its twin, opposite, everything, and so strangely that opposites are making the balance. and completing each other, complementary. So how can it be? I am developing on my own according to the materialist view. It means now I may be developed in this way. How about my wife? She may be developed, but we are 100% complementary to each other. How can you be exactly like I need to complete my purpose of existence, and you need me to complete your purpose of existence? I want to be loved, and you want to be otherwise, depending on the gender. And we are giving these qualities perfectly. We are complementing each other. Not only biologically, that is strange enough, but emotionally as well. And all these, this kind of creation are happening, as far as we know, in the animate beings. And also inanimate beings as well, they are balanced with each other. That is the first thing that we have to pay attention. These are just the way that we have to reason through these stages. If we just start thinking of God and God is doing this, it is not reasoning. You can do it in your prayer. As your conclusion, I keep saying this, it's very important. In our prayers, we have to be conscious that we are presenting our conclusion. No reasoning, presenting our conclusion. That's what I have to have some conclusion in order to present it. That is something else. It is practically very important. To me, very important. I'm trying to apply it, although I fail on many occasions. So the other one is the second point.
So other times you always have to reason.
Now, while we are, or at least go through La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. It means, because I have reasoned on many occasions, now it becomes a habit now. It becomes a kind of familiarity. But still, I have to go La ilaha illallah. That is out of our subject, what I'm going to say. I see that the Muslims and the Quran and the Islamic tradition claims that Quran is the final revelation. And Quran never says, I am the final revelation. But it says, you are the final Khatamul Anbiya. Okay. You are the seal of the prophet. From there, they understand that if the prophet is the last prophet, without prophet, we don't receive another. Human beings don't receive another message from God, only through prophets. Okay, this conclusion I agree with, but reasoning. Why do I say this? How can I say this? I am a person, a human being, like everybody else here. I understood that. That's my feeling. That's my conclusion. I'm sharing it with you. I understood that after La ilaha illallah, this certainty, introducing the Creator with absolute qualities, with no exception. There is no other way. I cannot see another way to make my existence meaningful. And the existence of this universe, there is no other way. There is no perfection from beyond La ilaha illallah. That is out of context, but there was an argument fresh in my mind. Just an hour ago, we had the discussion with some other people, And there was the conclusion, sort of confusion. I said, this is an important subject that I want to share with you since it is fresh in my mind. Shall we go to the second point
Sure.
attracted me? Mevlevi, aesthetic Mevlevi or Mevlevi example.
Right.
Why do you think? Do you think Nursi is following Mevlevi Tariqa? No one thinks so. I mean,
Yeah,
that is
just an example.
I see. What does it signify? Because in
Worship.
Mevlevi, no, not worship.
No worship.
No, that it's supposed to be worship, but not how do you say prescribed worship.
Okay.
That is, they express themselves in this way. This is unique to their practice. The sheikh, leader of this the community, wherever they are, is in the center, and the followers of the sheikh is around. They make two turnings at the same time.
Okay.
At the same. One is they turn around themselves. But while they are turning around themselves, they make slow spiral movement to go around the sheikh. What does it signify? In their tradition, they say, look, the closest system that we are observing in the universe is the solar system.
Yeah.
We understand that as far as we can see, practically observing, the sun is in the center and all the planets, including the earth, turns around it. But the earth turns around itself each 24 hours that we make this distinction. There is no hour or something, but that's what we communicate in our social life. And in one day, it completes its turning. And at the same time, it is going on the orbit around the sun. And these two movements cannot contradict to each other. Perfectly balanced. This is a simplest example that presented in Mevlevi, aesthetic Mevlevi, not this touristic Mevlevi demonstrations. That is, they are paid for it. It's a profession. But aesthetic Mevlevis, serious Mevlevis, they imitate the solar system, saying that the earth is getting its light from the sun. I am getting my light from my sheikh. It doesn't mean that sheikh is the origin of wahi or origin of real. No, sheikh is taking the light from their creator. He created that. It means symbolically, sheikh knows better than I do, and I'm following it. But while I am following it, I am wrapping up within my own life, daily life, but at the same time, I am really tied up by attraction with the sheikh, and then I make an elliptical movement, sometimes closer, sometimes farther away from him. In my negligence, times I am farther away. This is a symbolic presentation of order within order. This is the power rights, the same absolute power, rights one within the other in the middle.
I see.
Yeah. Did you find it? Yeah. Somewhere here. Yeah. Look at it.
One within the other?
Yeah, same power, rights one within the other.
I see.
Did you find it? No? No, somewhere here. Here, somewhere here in my book. find out?
No, let's see.
No. So it must be. Oh, not difficult. Hundreds of, sorry. At the same time.
Same power rights. There we go.
Yeah. Found it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Without confusion.
Okay. Same power rights, one within the other, without error and confusion. It means we see that the universe is turning. It is what we understand. We cannot have a static thing. Universe, it is parts, galaxies, whatever, clusters of galaxies, whatever they are. And then clusters of galaxies turning within each other. Galaxies are turning within each other. Within the galaxies, systems are turning within other, like solar system that we are observing here. In the solar system, the sun is turning and attracting, and sun also is moving within the galaxy, within its own galaxy. And then Earth is moving on its around, and on the sun, around the sun as well. How many of them? Endless within each, how do you say, the same power rights, one
within the other,
within the other, without error. It means preciseness, wisdom, balance, order, written within each other. On the earth, you see what? Atoms, again, turning. In the atom, there are others I don't know. That's what I don't know. I mean, the others also common knowledge, and I'm not, I don't have more knowledge than you are. Just applying here.
The principles.
Yeah, principle. Now, it is easier to make a house and live it. But if you can make a house every time, continuously, each part is, for example, the window is continuously changing without confusing the balance, and the frame of the window is independently moving, and the glasses are independently moving. Every part of the window independently moving, but whole house keeps its balance perfectly.
Impossible.
That is what universe is all about. How can you say that it's accident? Happening like this. I don't know, but that's how it happens. Without any conscious, precise, perfect creator. That is the third point. And also the last line here, last line says, providing that the element of air is a throne of divine will and command. So Quran gives one example. This God's arsh, God's throne is water.
Water, yes.
But this man says air. The same. If you like, whatever the concentration or you are focusing on, if you are focusing on water, yes, it is God's throne. On air, it's God's throne. Atom, yes, it is God's throne. I don't know. A cell, it's God's throne. And embryon, not embryon, membranes, members of the brain. It is just the skin, but very fine skin, not the head of skin of the head, is God's throne. Wherever you find only an absolute being and with absolute qualities manifesting there. That's what we have to understand throne. From us, we cannot say that this particular thing in the universe is accidentally happening, independently happening or existing. No way. Everywhere demonstrates the throne of the creator of the universe. Like, for example, look at a book. You find the whole book is written by a conscious being. And each chapter is written by a conscious being. And this is but each chapter says, I am the production of the author of the book.
Yeah.
Because it is located there, makes sequence meaning. And each subsection of the chapter, the same. The one who wrote the book must be the writer of the chapter, and the one who writes the book must be the chapter, section of subsection, paragraph, sentence, go, word,
letter,
each letter there. That's how we can make sense of it. If we see a letter mislocated, we say the scribe made a mistake. The author is the author of this book, and he never means this. For example, spelling the aim, the throw, T. Instead of T, somebody wrote D. It is scribe's mistake. But the author said throne, but he misspelled it. How do we know? Only the one who wrote the book makes T there. That is his throne of knowledge or authorship of the book. That makes it very simple to understand this kursi, arsh, kursiyuhu, and then God created the universe and then went to the Sema and took heavens and took his throne there and completely covered everything. It means that is how we should understand that only the one who created the universe can be the creator of one letter in the universe, atom or particle, whatever the smallest part you are thinking of. That is how the universe is perfect. That is one book shows, if it is organized in a way that reasoning follows each other. How many chapters doesn't matter. How many paragraphs doesn't matter. All of them says, I have one author. That's it. That makes me satisfied as far as the explanation of the universe is concerned. There is no further of saying that. There is no further clarification. That is why I personally believe that there will be no other revelation after the Quran, because everything is finalized, complete description of the creator. That's it. There is no further explanation for me. If this one, for example, the Christians may say, if a revelation clarifies the status of Jesus, they can expect. Yeah, Jewish people say, look, the revelation is given to us. How about other people? Because they really specified it to themselves. Somebody says, others also should receive something. They may expect it. If they accept it, they don't want to accept because of this superiority complex. No. Revelation can come to us only, nobody else. How do you know? Chinese people didn't receive revelation. Are they not responsible? And they are human beings as well. Though that needs further explanation, clarification. Quran doesn't need any further explanation because there is no such distinction between human beings, between the universe, between human senses. One of your senses think you may imagine in this way, but other sense will say no. There is no contradiction within human feelings as well. So we can solve all our problems with only the Quran. That satisfies me. Not because I am really biased, trying to justify the Quran is the final revelation. No. As far as I am concerned, I'm very clear about it. I cannot expect anything further. Everything is perfect because the creator is the absolute being, creator of everything. Nothing else has any kind of authority at all. Not a little bit, at all. That is final. And my spirit says, although my free will doesn't obey it, but my spirit says, that is the final revelation for you. That's it. Okay. I shared 4
MashaAllah. Thank you. That was amazing. Alhamdulillah. So any comments by anyone for what you heard? All right, we'll continue then. A lot of things to actually think about in those 3-4 points that you mentioned. All right, thus, according to this brief indication, the one who makes the universe into a well-ordered city, a first-class apartment building and guest house, and a miraculous book and Quran, and holds in his grasp with the balance of knowledge and arrangements of wisdom at all the levels, realms and groups of creatures, from the universe as a whole to minute particles. And disposes of them, is most merciful and compassionate, or for us must be most merciful and compassionate. So the person who does not recognize that most merciful and compassionate one, who demonstrates as clearly as the sun and daylight his wisdom and mercy within his power, and makes known his existence and unity, makes known his existence and unity within his absolute dominicality, thus wanting recognition through belief in return for his making these known, and love through worship in return for his making himself loved. Wow, that's a long sentence. So the person who does not recognize that most merciful and compassionate one, who demonstrates as clearly as the sun and daylight his wisdom and mercy within his power, and makes known his existence and unity within his absolute dominicality, thus wanting recognition through belief in return for his making these known, and love through worship in return for his making himself loved. So first, in return for his making these known, and then love through worship for his making himself loved. And then thanks, that's the third one, and praise in return for his bounties. So 3 things here. First of all, recognition through belief. So being aware, conscious, since knowing my position in this world, being presented with all these things and then enjoying them, So love through worship. And then in return for his making himself loved, and then thanks and praise in return for all these bounties. The Satans in human form who do not recognize him, so do not recognize him or try to love him through worship, in fact foster a sort of enmity towards him through denial, and are each minor Nimrods and Pharaohs, and are certainly deserving of infinite torment. Yeah, so this brief indication, the one who makes the universe into a well-ordered city, a guest house, first-class apartment building where we are all staying and enjoying. Everything is like a book which you can study, which is meaningful, and everything shows signs that it is coming from the knowledge, wisdom in each and everything. So our duty is to, as conscious beings, is to recognize who is presenting all this, who is making himself known, which to the human being is just like we see the sun and daylight is so clear to us. We should see recognize the most merciful and compassionate one as clearly as well. Makes known his existence and unity within his absolute dominicality. And then love through worship, by enjoying each and every recognition, which follows with loving through worship. Because each and every act of creation we can see is for us, made out of love. So we have to reply back with love. So recognition, love, and then thanks and praise. Of course, that's the least that we can do, inshallah. Otherwise, the Satans in human form do not recognize him. So we have to be watchful from the Satans in human form who divert us away from recognizing him.
This one is not what. The first one is very easy.
Okay.
Now, the first one is absolute dominicality. We discussed this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dominicality, it means ownership, but not only the, sorry, I have to reply this telephone. So, okay, I have to reply this telephone. Later on, maybe.
Okay, we'll listen to your point.
Hi.
So we were going over absolute dominicality.
Yeah.
His existence and unity, which is within his absolute dominicality.
No.
So all the power, knowledge, wisdom, mercy,
Hey, how are you?
unity is. Sorry for the background noise, guys. So I wonder what his point was about this absolute dominicality. I mean, Brother Ali's point. Would any of you like to share your thoughts before he joins, so we can work on it together?
Yeah.
So I would think absolute dominicality is very comprehensive. It means like ownership as well as lordship, taking care of things. All the qualities, power, mercy, wisdom, harmony, balance, everything is there. Well, Suhail, go ahead.
So, at least from what I understood is that, what he said earlier is that, and holds within his grasp, with balance of knowledge and arrangements of wisdom in all levels, realms, and groups of creatures from the universe as a whole to minute particles, and disposes of them. That to me is, symbolic of his absolute dominicality, not in that he had, all things must be under his control, from the macro to the micro, and all degrees of being, all realms of existence or layers of existence. And so not just from micro to macro, but within each level, there is a sort of revolution taking place, a certain sort of harmony, amongst creatures and environments and ecologies, et cetera, and then you go up between planets, or amongst planets, solar systems, galaxies, and so each level, there's a sort of order at work, and it's cannot be beyond his grasp. So this all points to the fact that he has absolute power over all things, and absolute will over all things. Otherwise, how can they be working in such perfect, perfect harmony, and such balance and order? Our responsibility through our choice, our human will, is recognition through belief. So,
Yeah, thank you, Suhail. Fariha, go ahead.
I think the way I can connect this is with the analogy that was given earlier about the author of the book knowing where each and every, we were talking about some wordings, but like knowing the meaning of every sentence and the way, let's say, the book is structured. So, taking that analogy, it would make sense then to know that whoever is setting up anything that I experience definitely is the owner of all the qualities that I'm experiencing. So absolute dominicality goes back to the one who's bringing everything into existence. By definition, must know what each and everything's purpose is. And yep.
Thank you for connecting that to all the movements that are going on with the particles. Yes, correct. So one question I have for everyone, so whoever has this lordship, ownership, this absolute dominicality, does he really want recognition through belief in return? As the author says, what do you guys think?
I would say yes, because everything goes back to us. Like even us as human beings, whatever we make, let's say you're making something for a friend, or you're offering something to a friend, the friend's needs, and then obviously there's some kind of relationship, right? Two-way relationship. And the type of feelings that we go through, right? Yay, they're like, oh, this tastes so good. Yeah, good job. Well done. Same thing, connecting this feeling back. Where's this feeling coming from? Why do I have this need of even being recognized for perhaps something that I, cooked? And so similarly, the one who's presenting me all this, if I'm able to connect that everything belongs to such a one, then hey, by virtue of what I experienced, then I should also, it's an automatic reaction. I know, oh my goodness, I need to acknowledge such a one and And how is that done? That should be done through recognizing that only the one who's given me existence is the one who wants me to connect with it through recognition, thanks, love, and how the author mentions your belief.
Yeah, thank you. So with your example, I would think if somebody does so many things to me, I would feel ashamed not to be thankful to the person, to the individual. So in the same way, I would feel ashamed with all the one who is giving me existence, not to do it, although I would not think that he really wants it, but it's from my side, from my perspective, I would say, wow, how shameful it is that you're getting all these blessings and you don't even recognize the owner. But let's listen. Beza, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Just a thought. I think there's also the aspect of it that when I experience something, and I'm just going to use a movie, for example, if I watch a movie with a lot of visual effects, or it doesn't even have to have one, I think about like what's going on behind the scenes. I think about the director. I think about the actors. Of course, maybe in my initial watch, I might be more encompassed within the story itself and what's going on. But at the same time, maybe a second watch or a third watch, I think about kind of like behind the scenes sort of parts of it. And I think part of trying to understand what the meaning behind something is, for example, perhaps the life of the director or the inspiration behind the story or the meaning behind what the message is trying to tell me of the story itself. I'm sorry, I have to go. I'll be right back.
No worries. Thank you. Giving the analogy of the movie. All right. So true belief, that's the important part in return. So we have to develop this particular belief in us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm back. As I was saying, right, movie. So right. So the point that I was trying to get to is, in watching that movie, for example, in recognizing what that movie is and the meaning and everything behind it, I think part of it is also me wanting to know, like all of these different layers of meanings, both content-wise, director-wise, actors-wise, etc., etc. So it's not so much, or part of part of, I guess, the quality of the film is also the ownership. Like I want to know who owns it, or I want to recognize the different sort of qualities that I see in the film. And part of one of the quality is like perhaps there's a theme of compassion. I don't know, whatever. Then part of a quality that I also want to get to know is ownership. Like who is the director, for example, or who is I'll just use the director just to keep it simple, for the sake of this example. So I think from my perspective, what I can confirm is that I want to know, or the quality of ownership is very much a quality that I want to get to know myself as well. I want to know who is behind the veil. And then I think on the flip side, as Fariha was saying too, like if I cook something for somebody, or if I prepare something for somebody, I also want them to recognize, quote unquote, the owner behind that, in the sense that I want them to know that they're cared for, or that they are loved, or that they're being thought of, or something of that nature. But I think all of these like different qualities that I either experience as the one watching the movie, or I experience as the one providing something for someone, like whether within my limited capacity, whether I'm the provider or 100% of the time when I'm actually the consumer, I want to get to know the owner behind these things as a quality itself as well. Hopefully that made some sense.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your example. So let's continue. So through belief, I think the belief means realizing, recognizing who the organizer, the arranger of provider of whatever I'm experiencing, who set it up. That's what belief is. And then definitely as a result, that if whatever I attribute to is I am recognizing that thing. So I think it's going in reverse the way I'm looking at it now. So through belief, I
Bro,
go into
can I ask you something real quick? Sorry. What is the D's? Through belief in return for making these known. What is these referring to? Making what known?
So I would think all the qualities that are I'm experiencing. So all the
Okay.
bounties, including the bounties as well. So whoever's arranging, organizing, demonstrating, it's a recognizing through belief in return for his making these known.
Because then it seems that there's like a progression going on, like how I interact first with the qualities, and I connect these qualities to its source of existence, and then I realize that hey,
Through the things we realize the qualities like mercy, power,
mhm.
wisdom, knowledge. And if
And
I attribute them correctly, like if I wonder about them, first of all, I would ask, where are these qualities in these things? Okay, the food I ate was delicious. It was provided. Where did all these things come from? The bounty.
Okay.
So that would be recognizing.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So you were going backwards. You were saying through belief, recognition. You can carry on.
Yeah. So thank you. That's
Yeah.
all right. There was no, like, it didn't bother me at all. Anybody can feel free to jump in and work with me. Alhamdulillah. So through belief, recognizing, and then of course, I have to, because I'm enjoying this, I have to, my response back is a sign of love, right? When I do the prostration and or any other worship that I do, they're closely tied to the belief aspect. Belief will bring worship, and then automatically that would progress to thanks and praise.
May I?
Let's go ahead.
I think this is very interesting because we interact with the universe, and then at least we can connect that these qualities are not coming from the universe. But then our journey shouldn't stop here, like the author is saying here, and love through worship in return for his making himself loved. So I guess expressing out the joy of getting to know the source of existence of these would constitute belief, like whichever way I use to express the thankfulness and gratefulness.
Right.
Oh wow, this is interesting actually. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Any other comments by anyone? So love through worship in return for his making himself loved. So which is what we're experiencing, as Faria is saying, in the universe. If we look in the universe and are enjoying it, yes, definitely we see the love that is there, and definitely through belief, I would be inclined to do worship and thanks and praise. So it's all together, goes along very well, beautifully. All right, so inshallah, I think we are at time. So Brother Ali seems to be very busy, so I think we can stop here for today. We'll continue next time. All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati surat al-Fatiha.
Jazakallah khair.